Have you ever wondered why, even though you know what you need to do, you keep getting in your own way? Or why, despite all your willpower, something always seems to pull you back? In today's video, we're diving into one of the biggest obstacles you might be facing without even realizing it: self-sabotage. And the tricky part? It could be happening without you even noticing. Now let me ask you two important questions. Why do you keep repeating habits you know are bad for you? And why, even with the best intentions, do you end up sabotaging your own goals? The answer lies in the conflict between who you really are and the environment around you. If you're naturally impulsive but living in a context that pulls you away from the changes you want, this clash leads to self-sabotage. Let's talk about how to spot this, and more importantly, how to break free. You know those times when it feels like you're getting in your own way? Well, that's called self-sabotage. You've probably heard this term a lot, right? Sometimes it feels like there's a bunch of nonsense about it online. But the truth is, it's very real, and it can mess up both your personal and professional life, turning everything upside down. The problem is, many people don't actually understand what self-sabotage is, how to handle it, or most importantly, how it explains some of the things you do every day without even realizing it. For example, why do you lie when you know it's wrong? Or why do you keep doing something you're dying to quit, even though you know it's hurting you? Let's break this down. Quick reminder. If you're enjoying this content and finding it helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on new videos. And hey, if you want to support us even more, consider becoming a channel member. It really helps us keep creating valuable content for you. Thanks so much for being here with us. Who is the self? To really get self-sabotage, we first need to understand the idea of the self. Basically, the self is that sense of I am, like the feeling of being you. Neuroscience and psychology have been trying to figure out what the self actually means for a long time. But here's the question. Have you ever really thought about who you are? Be honest, have you? Maybe you've said things like, I'm an engineer, I'm 30, or I'm a lawyer, I'm 29. But those things aren't who you are. They're just labels, details that place you in a certain time and place. But deep down, who are you really? Gasp. Time to reflect. Don't worry. I'm not trying to give you a boring philosophy lesson here. I just want you to think a bit beyond the autopilot mode that we often live in. So let's try this. Have you ever really asked yourself, who am I? Think about it. Period. Are you an impulsive person? Do you see yourself as caring? Do you have a quick temper, or are you more easygoing? Are you introverted or extroverted? Empathetic or more focused on yourself? These traits, these things about your personality, are what make you you. Now, here's the kicker. If you're living in a way that doesn't match these traits, that's when you might start feeling off, like you're not being true to yourself. And this is where self-sabotage sneaks in. Pamba. Why do we sabotage ourselves? Manam paranam. Self-sabotage happens when you're behaving in ways that don't match who you really are inside. For example, maybe you're naturally a kind and caring person, but you're in a situation where you feel like you have to be cold and tough. Over time, this creates a lot of tension, and before you know it, you're doing things that push you backward, like lying, procrastinating, or avoiding important situations. So, what does neuroscience say? Neuroscience tells us that our brain loves to save energy by creating habits and automatic patterns. Even if you know something is bad for you, your brain is so used to it that it's hard to break the cycle. And when this doesn't align with your true self, it's like your brain and your heart are constantly clashing. Okay, let's paint a picture. Imagine you're trying to start a diet or quit drinking. Maybe you're trying to cut out smoking or stop some other habit that's not doing you any favors. You've got this goal, right? But here's the catch. You're a bit impulsive. Thing is, you've never really thought about it because, like most people, you're living on autopilot. So, here you are, wanting to change these habits. But you're surrounded by friends who drink and eat junk food all the time. It's pretty obvious that your goals are clashing with your environment, right? And what happens? You start feeling like you're sabotaging yourself. You think, man, I really want to stop drinking and start eating healthier, but I just can't. Why do I keep messing up? Well, of course, you're sabotaging yourself. You've got that impulsive nature, but you're living in a world that's tempting you in the exact opposite direction. Pamba. This happens in so many parts of life. Let's take another example. Maybe you struggle a bit with focus. You know it takes you a little longer to lock in and concentrate, so you need an environment that helps you focus. But guess what? Your study or workspace is a complete mess. Your phone is blowing up with notifications and distractions are everywhere. How are you supposed to get anything done like that? You want to focus, but you're living in an environment that's pulling you away from your goal. The result? You feel like you're self-sabotaging again. And honestly, it's not that you don't want to change, but your surroundings are making it nearly impossible for you to act the way you need to. So, what's the first step? The first thing you've got to do is understand who you are. I get it. This isn't easy. Reflecting on ourselves can be tough, especially when life's throwing distractions at you left and right. You're probably reading this with 100 other things on your mind, or maybe a video of a celebrity is flashing on the side of your screen, calling for your attention. And let's be real, the quick hit of dopamine from scrolling through a podcast or video might feel way easier than diving into deep self-reflection. But here's the deal. If you really want to understand why you keep sabotaging yourself, you've got to dig a little deeper. Therapy is an amazing way to do this, but I know not everyone has access to it. That doesn't mean you can't take some steps on your own. Start by self-analyzing. Ask yourself some tough questions about your habits, your nature, and your environment. Doing this might put you way ahead of most people who are still running on autopilot, repeating the same behaviors and feeling the same frustration. But hey, if you think all this is just nonsense and you don't feel like you're sabotaging yourself, go ahead and close this window. No hard feelings. You can keep ignoring it all if that feels easier, but if you're ready for a change, maybe stick around a little longer. So, what did you think? If you've made it this far, it means you're really committed to understanding and overcoming self-sabotage. Remember, the key is recognizing who you truly are and making changes to your environment. It may seem tough, but even small steps can put you ahead of most people who are still running on autopilot. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share this video with someone who might also be struggling with self-sabotage. Let's grow together.